welcome back to another episode of the Universally Speaking podcast. Today I'm joined by Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Joe. Hello, everyone.
Very formal, that wasn't it? Very different to the previous 5 minutes we've just been talking. But
And it's all Cassie on the other episodes. Clearly, we're just two professionals, and it's
yeah,
Cassie that's been lowering
bringing it
the
down, yeah.
yeah.
But this episode is, well, it's all about you and your trip.
It is, which is quite a scary thought. Probably quite scary for me. Probably quite scary for you as well, in terms of not being in charge, not knowing what is going
Yeah.
to come out of my mouth, whether that's controversial things, whether that's things that you're not interested in, and many other things in between. So,
I mean,
yeah,
if you've listened to last week's episode and there's some of the things you came out with about a certain burger, I think people will,
well, that's what I
yeah.
was alluding to, and quite literally came out with in that instance. But
I didn't want to readdress that again, but here we are. It's still in my brain, unfortunately. So anyway, I
it's
think
past for me now. That's the main thing.
it's out of your system. Pardon the pun. So I think you actually posted something on your story along the lines of, "Would you like to hear a trip report episode on the podcast?" You didn't even consult it with me first, but that's okay.
That's
But
fine. Not,
anyway,
99% of people got it wrong. There was one hero who said, "No, don't bother,
was
boring."
that was that me?
I don't know if you voted
But
in the
yeah,
end or not.
as you mentioned, the people wanted it, so here we are. We obviously got your Epic Universe thoughts already in the previous episode, so we're just going to cover, I guess, your whole trip and everything that came with it. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's it. And I'm going to try and keep it quite spoiler free. Obviously, you're in quite a strange position at the minute. Let's say of you wanted to avoid spoilers. We're recording this on Epic Universe opening day. You've seen
Woo!
things, whoop, whoop. Um, so I'm going to try and keep it quite high level. And then obviously, if you want to ask any questions and dig deeper into things, then by all means do. I'm sure there'll be some things that I won't class as a spoiler that you will or other people will, but we'll try and keep it quite high level. But then obviously we'll go off on tangents and see where we go. What one thing we won't be doing today, let's get the disclaimer out there quite early, is using full names, using correct names, and quite often the short names probably won't make any sense either. So just go with it. We'll see if it's fun.
Tell you
I'm
what,
sure
it'd be
we'll have a laugh
pretty.
anyway.
It'd be pretty awkward if I didn't ask any questions.
Yeah,
That
well,
would be pretty awkward.
if you
But
need a nap, I'll have a go until 40 minutes because we're still too cheap to pay for the Zoom license. I'll
that's
get cut off
correct.
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom can sponsor us if you're listening. Zoom, happily take a sponsorship.
Just sponsor before you listen to the podcast because
Yeah,
the
yeah, just
quality's not there.
just just blind sponsor.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to put a bit of warning out there first. Limited prep has gone into this episode, and when I say limited, I mean that's saying something, isn't it?
That is
That is
saying
saying
something.
something.
It is, but I think it'll be good. And I don't know what your technical ability is going to be like as well. But what might be quite good is if you can do like timestamps in the description.
You adding
That
more
way,
work for me to do.
and then that way, I guess if people really don't want to, listen to Epic Universe, they can do. If they don't want to listen, just swipe all the way to the end of the episode now and job done. But I just
Yeah.
thought that way at least people can keep track of what we're talking about.
So I guess we should start at the beginning. That's probably the best place to start with the whole kind of the travel day experience going on your own.
Yeah, I guess that's probably a good place to start. And I guess before we get into that, just a shout out to Victoria again for obviously making, letting this trip happen, supporting with that. She'll be bored by now. She probably won't even listen to start with, but at
You,
least if
you,
we
your
get in
bags were
early.
outside when you got back then.
No, they weren't. No,
You
that's
survived for now. For now.
survive for now and roll on August. But yeah, so travel day then. Well, should we do a rewind? Should I just give a high level overview of what the trip actually entailed, or do
It's
you
your
want that?
episode, Sam. Take it away.
Right, so cool. So went out to Universal on the 6th of May, so God knows how many months this is after the episode actually comes out. So that was a Tuesday, ended going out for 5 nights, and it was a pretty last minute trip, so booked it only, I think, 2.5 weeks before. Um, it wasn't kind of on the cards, just kind of when annual pass previews came out for Epic Universe. Yeah, the idea came into our heads, and fast forward a few days, and lo and behold, it was booked. So it's only 5 nights. It was a split stay between Stella Nova and Cabana Bay, which in hindsight probably didn't need to do, but we'll get more into that, I'm sure, over the next I don't know, hour. See how
Who
long we
knows?
go. But yeah, so solo trip as you've mentioned. Yeah, predominantly concentrating on Epic Universe. But yeah, still getting some time in the other parks as well. So yeah, fast forward to Tuesday morning then. So travel day. Alarm went 5 a.m. Vile start.
We're starting at the very beginning.
We're starting at the very beginning. Out the door at 5:30 in a taxi. Now, we'll go off on a tangent already, because why not? I don't know what your thoughts are about a talkative taxi driver at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, not about that. That's not one for me.
Yeah. Lovely guy. I mean, he won't be listening to this podcast, let's be
Can you
honest.
imagine? Can you imagine?
I can imagine that random guy that I don't know who he is or what podcast he does or whatever. But yeah, so either way, it woke me up. But yeah, it was a strange feeling, it like walking out the door. I don't know if you get this feeling like when you're going on Velocicoaster or whatever, where it's just like you take a bit of a breath and you're like, here we go.
Well, I don't really feel like I can breathe when I'm about to go on Velocicoaster. So,
Um,
but anyway, what was the taxi driver saying to you? That's what I want to know. Let's go back again.
Let's go back. So, if we're doing trip reports, he told me about a couple of his trips actually, so we can get into some details. So, he
Did
was
you plug
telling
the
me,
podcast?
yeah.
Come on, rule number one.
He was telling me about his trips to Cuba, to Canada, how he went to see this musician on their farewell tour, how he still got family in this country, but he looks after his mum. But recently went to New York and it was great, but it rained. Blah de blah. So, anyways, a very quick taxi. We got there in the flying time. Great conversation. So, anyway, less eventful taxi to Manchester Airport, and it's one of the key differences for me this trip, and I appreciate most people won't have this luxury, was hand luggage only. Now, obviously, you'll be going through Manchester Airport in the not too distant future, and sometimes you get really lucky with that queue at check-in. Sometimes it can obviously be a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, hand luggage only was quite nice in terms of just being able to go straight through security, no queue whatsoever, and headed to the Aspire Lounge. And I don't know if you're a lounge person. I'm generally
No,
not.
no.
No.
Yeah, well,
But
I've literally just watched your vlog, as you know, and I was like, well, why have you spent even more money to go in a lounge? I didn't quite get it, but
I'll tell you why.
here we go. This is what it's here
This is
for.
the trip
I could have
report
just
process.
WhatsApped you, but there you go. We'll do a podcast so I can actually find out, and everyone else can find out.
And to be fair, I
And you
think
got
we
told off.
WhatsApped.
Spoiler alert.
I did get told off. Naughty man. But I think we WhatsApped that much on this trip anyway that I'm sure it probably felt like you were there with me.
Yeah, on my trip, I'm going to turn my phone off. So
Spoiler alert, lots of front row rides on Hagrid's. But anyway, we'll come on to that. So
now we're talking.
now we're talking. So I got the lounge for £6, which I didn't think was particularly bad. So one of the perks of
Yeah,
an Amex is you can get into so many lounges a year. Normally they're free. That one there was an upcharge. Don't know why. Not the best lounge, but it was the Aspire Lounge. But for £6, I thought
yeah,
go in,
that's
have a
nothing, is
bite
it?
to eat. Yeah, that's it. What I will say is no recording allowed.
But
Don't like
the
it.
amount of vlogs I've seen where people have vlogged in all of these lounges.
No, they're not vlogging in this lounge, Jade. You know why? It's a bag of shit. That's why. Don't know if you're bleeping or not, but
I
there's a
don't
bleep.
know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. No, it was fine. We didn't have the best experience last year. Quite happily handed over another £6 to go back this year, but it's quite basic. It's quite small, so it's like for me, when I pay £42 because that's what it starts at.
Mhm.
No, pay £6, couple of drinks, bit of breakfast,
Yeah,
chill out.
£6. It's worth it, no matter. Even if you weren't allowed to vlog at all.
Yeah, that's it. I was quite good and cut the recording, as you might have heard, but you can just kind of hear in the start of me being told off.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did you not say? Do you know who I am?
I'm Jay's friend from the Universally Speaking podcast, the 87th best Universal podcast there is.
87th. Yeah, that's correct. That is
Yeah,
the official list.
the official list. Oh, we like a list, don't we?
Do yeah, top 10 Universal podcasts, not including our own.
Oh, that'll probably be an episode, won't it? Anyway, so so where was I? Headed up to the plane. So down in the new part of Terminal 2. I think you've been there, haven't you? It's a little bit nice. I mean, they're modernising the entire airport, but headed there, boarded. So I don't know if I've said it yet. Flying Virgin Atlantic, Airbus A350. And this is where I was starting to get, well, a little bit worried, but stranger danger. Said it in the vlog. You know, who am I going to be sat next to? What are they going to think about this strange man on his own? with a phone in his hand, recording himself, recording his food, making high quality content, much like this podcast. I
Very similar.
on Virgin's app you can check like go into your book and you can check the seat map like right
Yeah,
up until the morning,
yeah.
and it's got two empty seats. So I thought oh, might be quids in here, and we were. So that was quite nice. I boarded, had three seats to myself, absolute win, and off
That
we
is a big
go.
win. Yeah, that is a big win.
So I know you're here for the flight. You're the
You know,
first and best
I'm
ride of the holiday.
I'm bored of talking about it. Every year when I try and do a vlog and stuff, I'm like, I try and get my point across about how much I hate flying. But like this year, I can't bring myself to even discuss it because no one cares. No one cares. Like everyone loves the travel day so much. Like it's the start of the holiday, and to me, it's just not quite that. But yeah, you're right, Sam. Flying is not my favorite. To put it into context, I would rather ride Fast and Furious all day for 5 days than go on a plane. But obviously, it's what I've got to do to get there.
So yeah, so Virgin Atlantic, three seats, on time departure. Here we go. Um, so yeah, flight was fine. Felt a little bit strange watching Encanto, like you know, plane full of couples, families, and then there's the man in his 30s sat at the back
Interesting,
watching.
interesting film choice though.
Was there's some good songs in there? I don't know if you've seen
I've
that
not
film
seen that
or
one. No,
no.
no,
Some good tunes, but yeah, so watched that and I had to go for like hangover. I thought I've got to go from like one extreme to the
that
other.
really
I was
is that
saying this to
really is one
Victoria
extreme
the
to
other
the
day, like I'm just sat there on the plane and like they don't cut like the nudity scenes out or anything. I'm
other.
just there, like and then
Yeah, they definitely
things
think
here and it's
you're
like, well, what am I
a
supposed to say?
strange
Only with
person.
like 400 other people. Yeah, well, I didn't put this
But you
on
know
my
what?
app.
Who cares what they think? Who cares? If you want to watch Encanto on your own, who cares?
There we go. So that was good. Lunch was fine. Had a sausage. Enjoy a nice sausage at 40,000 feet.
What did you have next?
Had,
The
you've seen the vlog, mate. You're reliving this.
thing is, people listening to this have probably seen the vlog as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Had a lovely ice cream, complete rip-off of an Oreo. So it was a cornetto, but
All
it was the
right, yeah.
most Oreo cornetto ever. Quite decent. Afternoon tea, or standard afternoon tea, and we landed, yeah, on time. And that's when it's always that bit of when does it feel real? Is it, when you're on the plane? Is it the descent? For me, it's normally when I land.
Does it feel real once the plane stops and everyone stands up immediately just for no reason? We spoke about it quite a lot. People that stand up as soon as that plane comes to a stop, they're up. I know you've been sat on your backside for 8.5 hours, but you're not going to get off any quicker.
And the worst thing, I was right at the back of the plane. I was too cheap to pay for my seat, so I was at the very back, and yeah, people around me still straight up. 15 minutes they waited to go.
Yeah, it's not for me. It's up there with clapping when the plane lands. Not quite as bad, but yeah, it's in the same ballpark.
It's there, isn't it? But so whilst they were all stood up, I was using that time to use the NPC app. Don't know if you used
Smart.
that last time
I
or not.
haven't, no, but I have downloaded it for the first time. So yeah, I will be doing it. I'm not sure how it all works yet, but yeah, I've heard good
Yeah,
things. Even though I know it didn't quite work for you, did it, this time around?
no. So the actual app itself is really easy to use. You can do like the first half of it, like now. You just fill in
Okay.
a few details, it saves it, and then when you get there, so when you connect to 4G or Wi-Fi, depending on what your setup is, you take a selfie, and then you click submit.
Wait, you take a
And
selfie there and then, or can you do it beforehand?
no, it's got to be there and then. So, but yeah, and then you basically take a selfie, click submit, and it gives you like 4 hours access to the NPC line. Now, when we did the NPC line last year, we were done in 10 minutes. It was like really quick, really efficient. Obviously, MCO, you never know what you're going to get. This time took 50 minutes. Now, the line itself was really short, but MCO is quite a weird one where they've got different queues, and then they've just got a random guy living his best life, working in Orlando, who then just randomly decides which queues he's going to send people from. And if
Right.
you're at the end, like I was,
Yeah.
sometimes your lovely queue gets forgotten about. So the normal line, I kid you not, was probably 2 or 3 times quicker,
Really? Oh
even though it
wow.
was probably 4 or 5 times longer. Just yeah, like I think it had been an even distribution or they had more desks open or whatever, then I think I'd have been out in 10 minutes.
I'm
But
quite thankful I'm going to be in the new terminal at MCO for the first time ever. So I'm hoping that's
oh,
all
you
goes
you
smoothly.
Aer Lingus, are you?
Aer Lingus, yeah. So that should all be a little bit better, I'm hoping.
Yeah, you get your bags first. So like for me, that would
Yeah,
have been a huge win because I could have literally just walked
go straight through, yeah.
straight through. Um, but yeah, anyway, we've probably spent half an hour talking about a
Not
flight
even
at
there
this.
yet, really.
Not even there. So we'll skip forward. So yeah, so finally got to the front of this. Literally asked me a couple of questions, waved me past, and off I was on the monorail. Uber within 10 minutes. I mean, you guys use Uber, don't you, as well when you're out there?
Actually,
But
Team Lift.
your team lift.
Team Lift, yeah.
Oh dear me.
Yeah.
Dear me.
Controversial. I know, it's controversial opinion.
Uber is the best for families. I will say that. And also, it's
Well,
almost like they knew as well that I was going because I hadn't had a notification from Uber for like a year. But I started getting offers about a
you
week
do,
before.
yeah. I get that as well from Lift.
Yeah, so they know, don't they?
That could be another episode. Uber v Lyft. What's the best?
These were pretty poor to start with, if we're being honest.
How
But
much did it cost? I think mine cost $35 last year from the airport.
I'll tell you, because like I said, I've got bags of
Oh, the
time.
suspense. This is wait. You're gonna make sure you want to stay listening to this one, guys.
You got to do this in real time as well. No cutting
Place
it.
your bets. Let's see. Has it gone
Right.
up? Has it gone down?
So
Was he talkative or not?
it wasn't. That's why I got a tip. So I did an Uber X ride with Daniel. Shout out to a future Daniel, which we might get
Future
onto in a
Daniel,
bit.
yeah.
I
Which
paid
Daniel's the best Daniel?
definitely the latter Daniel. So I paid after all the charges. I did have a $6.64 discount, but in total I paid $26.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Not bad
And
at
I,
all.
and I think that's the advantage of where I was staying. Of you are that little bit closer
Mm.
to like MCO, so obviously just make it a little bit cheaper, a little bit quicker. I think it was literally about 20 minutes.
Was that all it was?
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Looked a bit stormy out. I was thinking, oh, my plans for travel
Lost
night.
coaster.
But thankfully it held off. So yeah, got the first glimpse of Epic Universe. You basically go on the same road towards the end that the buses take, so you kind of get quite a good view of the backside of Epic Universe and Nintendo. And then yeah, pulled into Stella Nova, and I don't know if we talked about it before or not, but Stella Nova wasn't a resort that blew me away, to be honest. I was
Mhm.
staying there purely because of its location, purely because it's got a walking path to Epic Universe. And I thought it doesn't really appeal to me much otherwise. It does look a bit like Men in Black. Obviously, we're fans of Men in Black, but
Mhm.
that's not necessarily the look I go for in a hotel. But to be honest, when I saw it in person, like even the lobby, really good. Like first impressions, of this hotel, spot on. Had a really good team member checking me in as well, was giving me lots of tips, screwed me over with the Fast and Furious room
I
key.
know. Do you know what? I just want to say this is really strange for me because I didn't actually plan to watch your vlog just before we started recording, but it's like I'm reliving it twice. Yeah,
There we
don't
go.
show that. For the audio listeners, Sammy showed his Fast and Furious hotel room card. I'd honestly throw it back in his face if I got that.
Oh, no,
That's
the
a
next
joke. That's a joke, Universal, if you're listening.
the next morning, I did go back to reception so can I get a
Changed
different
it.
one. She said, if you were to come back later and said you've lost it and brought some ID, all I'm saying is we might be able to give you a different one. I didn't go back, but
No, but yeah, I just think I didn't actually plan to, but I've just watched your vlog and now I'm literally reliving it again through yourself. But it's a strange experience.
there you
I know
go.
what you're going to say because I've literally just watched it.
There you go. So you'll know the exact room that I was given as
It would
well.
have been better
So
if I did watch it actually, because it would be more of a surprise. But like I know what you're going to say now.
you know what I'm going to say, don't you? But I emailed ahead of time saying, it'd be great to get a good park view. And I think what's quite strange about these hotels, but like for me, it's a huge win, is say hotels normally pool view costs more.
Hmm.
Pool view at some of these Universal hotels are on the wrong side of where you want to be looking.
Yeah,
So it's like for me, if you got the pool view here, probably Terra Luna, it's the same. You're just looking into the distance, really. There's not a huge amount kind of going on.
yeah.
Get the cheap view, got a view of Epic Universe. So my room, floor 7, I think it was 7060, most amazing view. Like well and truly got looked after with that one. I think I stood at the window for like maybe 5-10 minutes, like
You were
just
going to stand
taking.
there all night, weren't you? You were like, I
I
might just
was,
stay
yeah.
here.
Like I was so excited at this point, so like unreal, couldn't believe it.
Little did you know that your next 2 days were going to be not quite as you planned. Spoiler alert. But yeah, like
Spoiler alert.
it was interesting seeing like your sheer excitement. But obviously knowing I knew, and obviously you editing it knew what was to come. But obviously you had no idea at that point. You just thought it was going to be the best 2 days of your life, not of your life. Sorry, Victoria, if you're listening, not of your life, best 2 days of your trip.
What the trip was all about, the excitement, like you say, was off the charts. And it's, I think, just that thing in life, isn't it, of sometimes things aren't great, but it's easy to forget those bits and you just focus on the positives. And don't get me wrong, I've still got an overwhelmingly positive impression of Epic Universe. Can't wait to get back and explore more. But yeah, watching those things back and actually remembering some of the bits that didn't quite go to plan was quite an interesting one.
Mm.
But yeah, at this point, however, excited, did a quick room tour, quite impressed again with the rooms.
They look nice.
Yeah, it was a decent room. Don't know what you think about that little glass section where
Yeah,
you can
interesting one.
see. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll explain what it is for those who haven't seen it.
Sure. So, whilst in most hotels, between the bedroom and the bathroom, you may well have a physical wall. At Stella Nova and potentially Terra Luna as well, if they're the same rooms, um, there's a glass panel. So basically, if you wanted to, they put a lovely curtain on. Bit weird, They've obviously got confused and thought all windows and glass must have a curtain. But anyway, so if you pull the curtain all the way back, you can literally see into the bathroom, and I guess potentially, depending on what angle you're at, into the actual shower stroke toilet as well. So you
Mm-hmm.
get a good view of everything. If you're a close family, these are the perfect rooms for you. So yeah, bit of a strange divider. Even though I was on my own, it was like, right, I'm going to close that curtain. That's just a bit weird. Um, but yeah, so positive thoughts of the room. I put it in the vlog as well, but a thing that worked out really well for me that I hugely missed at Cabana Bay, and like in normal life, this is like nothing, but out there it was like a good thing, is the alarm clock had a wireless charging pad on top.
Oh, nice.
So like, yeah, just like a handy little feature. Like for me, my
Yeah.
cable, I think my cable got wet on Popeyes or Rips or Falls and broke, or at
Rookie
least
error,
got
that
really,
is. Rookie error.
I know, like, or at least really temperamental. So
Mhm.
like whilst I was at the second hotel in Cabana Bay, I was continuously every night like trying to worry about, is it going to charge? Is it not? In the parks during the day with my power bank, is it going to charge? Is it not? Stella Nova just didn't have any of those worries. And likewise, if you're recording it in the pool or at Volcano Bay and your phone gets wet, it like shuts down whilst it's wet and says, it can't charge because there's
Yeah.
liquid in the pot. But if you've got a
Yeah.
wireless charger, it still charges as normal.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know that. I didn't know that.
Yes, yeah. So no, was really impressed with Still Nova. 3 nights there because it was then done with Epic Universe. Um, Spoiler alert, I did come back to Epic. But no, it was good. And I think like next year, if we do go back, Victoria's already said we are going back. Not necessarily because she's like, we need to go back. She just knows obviously what I'm like. And even if I say we're not going, we're
Oh,
going.
you're so lucky that you've got that acceptance. I'm still in that stage of we can't keep going back. That's my partner I'm speaking about. But I'm like, I'm happy going back to Orlando. And then obviously it's so nice to see so many people on Instagram and this community say they feel the exact same way. But I'd say kind of 90% of those people are both they both feel the same way about Universal in Florida, where not quite the same for us. So I'm like, yeah, we'll have a year off, and then it comes around to it, and I start twitching.
Yeah,
But
we'll
you
see
went
how
down to
Disney goes evolves.
you went straight down to City Walk in the parks that night, that
We
first
did.
night.
I think we exchanged a few exciting messages about buses.
Oh, they
Remember
looked.
that
They
one?
looked. Was it House Train Dragon bus that you got on?
Yeah, it was indeed, and
Looks
like
so
that.
cool.
And obviously, even though I've just seen Epic Universe out the window, I've driven past it. I know it's weird. I'm like, oh, a bus, but
No, no, we get
it
it.
just
People
like when
listening get it.
you're so used to the normal buses. You've
Yeah,
seen all those styles for so long.
seeing
It was
new
like,
ones
oh,
is like, oh my god.
this is actually real. This is actually, a thing.
Yeah, no,
So
we
yes,
get it. How long did it take?
I think it took about 15, 60 minutes, which wasn't bad. Now,
Mhm.
the drive itself from Stellanova is fine. The issue, I think, is the reliability of the buses and also just that waiting sort of time.
Yeah.
So, like for me, I got on the bus and we set off like straight away. It was like I got on at the perfect time and off we went. But other days you might be waiting for 5, 10 minutes for it to set off or whatever, or you might be waiting in City Walk for the bus to turn up and then you've got to wait for it to set off and things. So I think it's those bits that probably feel a little bit longer and probably drag out the process, but the drive itself wasn't too bad. But yeah, headed in, mobile ordered on the bus. Huge fan of mobile ordering. If you guys aren't doing it, you need to be. It just makes it so much quicker and easier.
Yeah, agreed.
Red oven, got my pizza maybe 15, 20 minutes later. And like one thing I've never done, I tried to do it a little bit more on this trip, is just like soak in the atmosphere and just sit back for a little bit. So went to the lighthouse, sat down, ate the pizza. I mean, I was raring to go. I was there looking at wait times, and in the end, I like shoved half the pizza still burning hot in so I could get into the park. But it was just nice just to take that moment, just to I'm actually here. Like this is actually real. Port of entry's there. I can hear the music, and off we go. So, yeah, conscious that we've used quite a bit of time already, and we're on travel day. So went in, Velocicoaster, spot on. Hagrid's front row, bike, good job. Happy with that.
And then you also got bullied onto a roller coaster. I never thought I'd
I
hear
know,
that
I know,
before.
I know how it feels now. It's not nice, is it?
I mean, it's not quite the same, but yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and to be fair, if you look at that picture now, I don't know if you've seen it or not of us riding. I think I'm the only one who looks like they're actually enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
surprised.
so I was done at this point. Like the Hagrid's queue, obviously, it's a little bit slow at times. When you're in the caves, there isn't a huge amount going on. It can be a little bit dark. I
Yeah,
think that just like after a day of non-stop, or at least the last couple of hours of non-stop and excitement, it was then that standing around that I think tiredness started to hit a
yeah.
little bit. So I was like dead. I was ready to be done. It was only like 7:30 at this point. But yeah, was bullied into going over to Universal Studios to ride Rip Ride Rocket with a couple of people from Instagram, so our Pride Rock, so Danielle and Cameron. But yeah, good ride. Like had fun. I say like that was their last ever ride. So because I had the photo pass, I was able to send the picture to them as well. So it's like
Oh, that's the
bloody
real reason then. That's the real reason.
clearly it's using me,
They
weren't
didn't
they?
want to ride with you. They wanted your photo pass.
Yeah, that's I don't know if they knew about that or not, but that's how it ended. Yeah, like send us that. All right, bye then. But yeah, and then it was time to head back. So absolutely dead. But hoping for a good night's sleep as we all do on travel day, knowing full well
Yeah,
what's coming in the morning.
we can't go into full detail. You get up so early, but again, I know you're not alone in this. What time did you open your eyes and check your phone?
I
3? Was it 2 something?
think it was just before 3.
Just
It
before
said
3. And then
2.
as you do, you go off on a wild goose chase around Universal Orlando Resort.
Do you not do that? Like
I
there must
don't
be other
know.
people. I mean,
No.
the lobby is empty. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate it might not be lots and lots of people, but for me, jet lagged, especially when you're just wide awake and not a lot to do in the room
And on your own.
and on my own, is go and explore. So
You always do it though. It's like your tradition.
the rite of passage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I woke up at let's say 3, had a shower and stuff. 2:30, walked up to Epic because
As
why
you
not?
do. Yeah, as
As
you
you
do.
do,
Yeah.
you do. Yeah. So it was a 10-minute walk. So Stella Nova, that walk is perfect. Like I think probably just as quick, if not quicker, than getting the bus when you think about all like the waiting to set off, etc. Yeah. If you fast walked, if you think it's early park admission,
I'm
you
going
go.
to be sprinting, as everyone knows.
There we go. So yes, just had to wander around. Like there was literally people doing like work to uh, the turnstile sort of area and like gardening people, like getting things ready and stuff. So it very much felt like I shouldn't be here, but there was no security to tell me otherwise. So I had to wander around, saw the entrance for the first time. Went to 7-Eleven, got a couple of drinks, and then by this point it's 4:30. So what do you do at 4:30 when you're still wide awake? You go for a run around the car park of Epic Universe, of course.
I think you might be on your own with that one.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So that was a
even
little
you,
bit.
even you don't know what to say on that one.
No, again, it was just I'm wide awake. I know I'm going to be knackered later regardless. So it's like going for a half an hour run or whatever. It's not going to make a big difference. But again, I think it was just that excitement of let's head back to Epic Universe. There's not a lot else around that area. That's one of the downfalls I think of Stellanova is there's not a huge amount else
No.
to do. Never, I mean, it won't be up an R4 anyway. But it's like right, let's go see how big this car park is. I'd heard how big it is. Pretty
How
big.
big was it? What was the distance?
I ran round it. I think 1.5 times, and with a hotel bit thrown, it was like 5K.
Oh, nice. So if you're looking to do a 5K, go
There you
to
go.
the car park of
Epic
Epic
Universe
Universe.
is the place to do it. There we go.
Maybe not
Uh,
now because it's officially open, but
yeah, that's true.
be no one there at that time anyway.
I was going to say normal people out there. They're not queuing to get in. Probably one this morning. But yeah, and the next step was head back to the hotel and get ready for what I thought was going to be an epic day. And don't get me wrong, it was exciting. It was exciting. There was definitely some really good moments, some standout moments. But unfortunately, there were a few bits that didn't quite go to plan as well.
So obviously spoke on the previous episode, Sam, that your first couple of days at Epic Universe didn't quite go to plan. Obviously, we've already touched on all of that, but yeah, wasn't the best. It wasn't what you'd hoped for.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, isn't it? So to not go over kind of old ground, I'll just pull out maybe a couple of key bits from the day, things that maybe of slight interest to people. And I
Mm.
mean, if you like high quality podcasts, the chance say you can like high quality vlogs as well. So by all means, if you do want to see things, probably in a
Plug,
more concise
shameless
form
plug.
actually than this one,
Yeah, no, definitely.
then obviously go check those out. So for context and clarity, so I went to technical rehearsals. So it was, prior to grand opening. Again, I don't know when this podcast is going to actually come out. Yeah, so it was prior to opening. I think opening day looks like it has done particularly well over then Ministry, which I want to say has been down all day, if not at least most of it.
Yeah, I was
But
going to ask you that. Obviously, we're recording on opening day. The wait times, except for Battle of the Ministry, have been incredible. I've just seen shout out Orlando Accomplice, another Universal podcast. They were there for opening day today. They bought Express Pass and obviously didn't even need it because the wait times have been that low. Is there a part of you that's thought, I wish I went for opening day, but who expected this rather than the previews?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think in terms of amazing days, even if it was a worse day today, you'd love to be there for opening, wouldn't you? And
Yeah,
when these tickets came out, what was it now? Probably 4 or 5 months ago.
yeah, I
Whenever they
think so.
released them, like this trip certainly wasn't on the cards. So
Mm.
it's not like it
Yeah,
was
true.
one or the other or whatever. It's like they came out and I didn't try to buy any. So it kind of is what it is, unfortunately, in that respect. But yeah, I would have loved to have been there. I find it quite funny that they had the medallions for opening day that then sold out prior to opening day.
Didn't last long, did they? Yeah, that's probably been the one biggest criticism so far from what I've seen about opening day.
Yes, which you'd take, wouldn't you, really, to be honest, based
Yeah.
on all the issues we had coming into it. But yeah, so my 2 days. So on both of them, early park admission started at 10 a.m., main park opened at 11 a.m., and park closure was 9 p.m. Around 8 p.m. is when it started to get dark. So you had a little bit of time in the evening if you wanted it, but not a huge amount. Um, so I headed to the parks around 8 a.m. both days. So probably about an hour before early park admission, transport started from the hotels. Still a few people there. I wasn't the very first person at the front, but it certainly got busier as time went on. And the way Epic's set up is a little bit different to the other parks. Obviously, there's no city walk, so you queue when you get there outside the main entrance, and the first thing you come to is security. But security is literally about 10 meters away from where they scan you in and scan
Mhm.
your tickets.
Yeah.
So it's really, really close. So the way it worked for early park admission, and I'm presuming it will still be the case now, is they scanned us in around half an hour before EPA was due to start. So you go through security, they scan your tickets or facial recognition if that works to check you're allowed in, and then you head straight into the parks. So early park admission at the minute is split into Nintendo, which is the busiest area of the park, I would say. Maybe not necessarily the busiest ride with Ministry now being open. but certainly it's the busiest area, at least in the morning as well. So I took a left and went to Nintendo. The other option would have been Stardust. Spoiler, wasn't open on these 2 days. And then what they do is they hold you just outside the land. So they will let you into the park early. So you're raring to go, just in a holding pen in the sun or in the rain, depending on the time of year.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then about 10 to on both days, they just kind of let people in and off we kind of went. And because you're quite near the entrance, people didn't have the opportunity to gather much speed to get that fast walking and that running journey. So it might actually be one that you enjoyed.
Couldn't generate enough speed. To be fair, in port of entry, they've got a good stretch of
good run up, haven't they? Yeah.
Stretch of concrete, haven't they?
That's it. Although that changed, but anyway, we'll come on to that. So headed into the parks. First ride that was top of my hype list. Like I said, primarily maybe from Joey's perspective and wanted to ride it with him, but still left at number top was Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong Bowser's Challenge. I like that one.
Yeah, it's a good one, that, isn't it? Not as good as Mario Minecart. But that was closed. And that ended up being sort of down all day. So first ride,
which was closed. I'm confused which one we're talking about now.
That gorilla one, monkey over there, closed.
The rough one, supposedly rough.
Yeah, I don't know. We're talking about that. We're not talking about that.
Who knows this? But I don't know what's a spoiler and what's not a spoiler. People still think Hagrid's drop track's a spoiler.
Yeah, I still do that on Hagrid's. Yes, the first ride in Epic Universe then was Mario Kart, the actual Mario Kart.
Mario Kart Madness.
That was a challenge.
And do you know what? I actually can't stop calling it Mario Kart Madness now. I keep forgetting what it's actually called. To be fair, that's your fault.
I think Mario Kart Madness would be a better name for the actual Mario Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, it doesn't really roll off the tongue for me.
And I think that ride is nothing but madness, to be honest. Like, I really don't know what's going on. I've read it twice. I still don't know.
To be fair, that was the same as me on Minion Blast. The first time we did it, we were like, what the hell has just happened? There was so much going on. But to be fair, the more you ride it, the more you start to get to know what's actually going on. So it could be the same for that, maybe.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Gav last night. I met Gav. Shout out. Sent you the
Shout
poster.
out, Gav.
And he said that's how he felt to start with, but then the more he rode it, the better it got, the more he understood what was going on. But yeah, so Mario Kart was the first ride. And that first day, so for as bad as it was in terms of like half the rides being shut, still managed to do 11 rides, 11 experiences, let's say. So there's one show.
Go through them, let's hear
them.
All the correct names.
Well, I'm going to get log.
Please just go on what your notes. So Sam's got his phone out. He's got his notes up. And as you know, Sam won't put the full names on his notes. Understandably so. We all put shortened words. But he'll just put something like monsters or dragon show.
The blue ride.
Yeah. I mean, we all do it, but...
Just pick on me, don't you?
There's been quite a lot of heat for some influencers calling Velocicoaster the Velociraptor ride recently. Been causing quite a lot of heat in the community.
Yeah, but at least it's not the chief exec of Universal.
What, are you not in the Hippogriff house?
I'm Team Hippogriff for Joey's first ever ride, you know what I mean?
I think they should launch a new house, Hippogriff. Maybe he's like spoiled something. There's a new house coming.
Maybe that's the TV show. Maybe
that's what I mean. Like that'll increase viewers on the TV show. There's a new house. Shout out Matt Woodbury if you're listening.
He's not.
He's not. Given his universal knowledge, he might need to. He might learn some stuff about Mario Kart Madness.
I can teach him the names if he wants to get an hour team calling.
Right, sorry. Sam, you were saying, what did you do?
Right, so the 7th of May, so day one, I rode Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment 3 times, Hiccup's Wing Gliders twice, and then all the next ones just once. Constellation Carousel, Curse of the Werewolf, Dragon Racers Rally, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, The Untrainable Dragon Show, and Yoshi's Adventure.
Nice. Still got a fair amount done, then, considering.
Yeah, I'd say, and like Monsters Unchained, single rider, like the most efficient ride.
Yeah.
Like really, really
It's a shame that Harry Potter and the Battle of the Ministry is not like that. Can you imagine if that was similar to Monsters Unchained in that respect? I know there's
Yeah,
obviously the rides are different, so you can't really compare. I'm actually obviously is it still down as we record? I think it might be, but
it was as of half
like
an hour ago when I last checked. So yeah.
I'm a little bit worried that have they gone too far in terms of technology that it's actually not going to work at all. Because on
Yeah,
opening day, you'd think they'd get it to at least work on opening day.
yeah. Well, they got it for the real opening day, didn't they, yesterday? I think because I was at the front for early park admission, I got that head start. I think because I was traveling solo and I could do some of those single riders, that gave me the opportunity to do Monsters Unchained with basically as a walk on. So
Mm.
that helped. Um,
When were you informed about Stardust races? Were you told early on it wasn't going to open all day, or was it a case of you were just checking every 10 minutes?
yeah, they were insert word of choice, but I'll go cheeky buggers for this particular one of. Um, they just kept saying, we don't know," and then
Was
that
it
not
running at all
it did, I think, twice. Now they would like I've heard conspiracies,
on the
do.
dark web?
Yeah, like because they were doing filming with people in and around those days. Now I heard, but again, whether I believe it or not, maybe not, that the reason that Minecart Madness was down all day and the reason Stardust was down is because they were using it for filming. But if I'm being like, I could imagine that for a couple of hours, but I can't
Not all
imagine they
day.
take the ride. Yes, I'm not sure I believe that, but yes, they were just saying, keep checking, and Stardust never came back. And as you can imagine,
How were you feeling? Were you hopeful that it was, obviously at the time you had no idea. You think like it might open up later on in the afternoon or even in the evening. Were you still hopeful at that point, or
I think I was still probably early afternoon, and I thought they're not gonna, in
hmm.
reality, if they haven't got it working.
But then you
Then,
thought I've got a second day. There's nothing to worry about.
and there we go. Yeah, and then like when I spoke to guest services later on that day, they said the intention was for it to be up and running the second day, but just never happened. But at least when it got to about lunchtime, they were just like, yeah, it's not opening up today. So at least then, whilst it wasn't the outcome we wanted, at least you kind of knew where you stood and you could kind of move on and concentrate. But yeah, I think just shout out to that first day, like the Untrainable Dragon show, really good. If you're going to do that, I'd say either be on the front row so you're really close to the action, or it's across two tiers. So maybe sit on the back row, maybe somewhere in the middle. I think you'll get good views and experiences for different reasons up there. And then Hiccups Wing Gliders. So first ride didn't go to plan. Um, First of all, ask for front row. Front row for me is the best row on that ride. And also, there's not a lot you can do really unless you want to split your parties up or ditch people. But when you get towards like the load platform, the queue splits into two. And the way they do it is if you've got an odd amount of people in your party, and that doesn't mean odd people like me, like one or three, you go
He
left.
looks odd. He's going
You look
left.
odd, you get over there. And if you've got an even number, which most people have, twos or fours, you go in the right queue. So
Okay.
literally every time I rode it, which I can't remember if it was 5 times across the trip, the right queue, so the even numbers was always like backed all the way down, and the left hand queue, you literally just walk straight onto the right. So like at the end of where the queues kind of come back together, they would take people from the even side if there was no way, but
Mm.
literally you could just always pretty much just get to the front of the queue
All right.
way if you're odd number. So like I said, it doesn't help, but just that's
So you're saying we should go? Me and my partner should go in as single riders and hope for the best. I'll just say I'm not with her, and then we could potentially get on quicker.
yeah, you never know. You could like say if that's right, you could go
I'm
one on
odd.
one.
Let me in.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's say no. Let's say stick together, but maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so first ride didn't go to plan. Again, I don't want to talk about things that didn't go to plan in case that's spoilers. Um, but yeah, they gave us another re-ride second time. Absolutely loved it. Amazing. I wouldn't have thought, well, I mean, it was high on my hype list, but I didn't think it would be really up there for me. But it just hit all the boxes. It was really good across the board. It's not a Velocicoaster. It's not Stardust. It's not that end of the spectrum. It is more your Hagrid's.
Well, you said it's better than Hagrid's in last week's episode.
I think for me it does. I think it's got the ride's not as long as Hagrid's. It's certainly not got the elements like Hagrid's had. It is a more basic coaster. There's certain bits that Hagrid's doesn't have that this one does. Um, and I'd say just other bits of it that and Hagrid's have, it does better on this. But I think for me, it was just more fun. It might not be the better coaster
Mhm.
if we want to get into the what's better, what's fun, what's all these different
Yeah, yeah,
words you can use. But it's like
yeah.
Hagrid's is the better coaster. But
You
for me,
enjoyed Hiccups more.
yeah, it's the more
Is
fun.
that because it's new? Is there any part of it? It could be just because it's something new that you've not experienced.
I'm sure that will be some part of it, but I just
Yeah.
it's got a lot more going on, and as I think we talked about, which I wouldn't say this is really a spoiler unless you've seen absolutely nothing, and why you listen to this podcast, if that is the case, just generally. But it goes round the land, so you see quite a few bits. I think just that whilst Hagrid's, because of its theming, is
Mm,
out the way, you're in the forest, you're out of there. But this one, you weave in, and you're all the people and the rest of the land are there. They can see you, you can see them. It just
mm.
feels a lot more.
Did you do it at night?
I didn't. I was considering it on my third day. Spoiler alert, when I finally got on Stardust. And I said to the woman, like, because it was 45-minute wait. So I said to the team member at the front, does it look 45 minutes? I'm hoping to do Stardust as well. And she said, if I were you, I'd just go do Stardust. So that's what I did. I've now seen a point of view video. I definitely want to do it maybe like dusk, like
Mm,
sunset. It does seem decent. And like the night lighting of this park is unreal. Like obviously it depends what time of year you go in terms of whether you're going to get that opportunity to see the park at night or not. But the lands, I know Celestial Park is a land, but treating it, I guess, slightly separately. The
yeah.
lighting sort of through all that central area, unbelievable. And Stardust in particular, when you ride in that, and I guess we can move on to Stardust maybe now, which was a third day, um, because the ride vehicles have got lights on them, but none of the track has.
Mm.
So when you've got this dueling element, again, I don't know if that's a spoiler.
No,
Fair,
it's
is it not?
I don't think it is.
Okay, fair enough. So because it's like really dark, you've just got a few lights from the different lands. The fountain show going on, which was really good to see when you're on a roller coaster. But then you look to your side, and you can just see the lights of another coaster,
Mhm.
like spinning and dueling and going upside down around each other. Like it just took it to that whole other level, and I did it on the front row at night. Mind blowing. And there's so many things of Epic we've missed out. So by all means, if you want to cover any of the other bits off quickly, feel free. Like maybe Ministry we'll come back to in a minute. But I think I said it on maybe last week's podcast, whenever we last recorded anyway. Um, there was that moment of when I was coming back into the load station, which I will add, I've never been on a ride before that has got so much buzz and excitement coming into that load station. Just like everybody's had such an amazing time on that ride. I'm sure you will as well, Jeff.
I think that's because it's new though, and no one's experienced it. So you're gonna come off buzzing, especially coaster lovers like the people that go on there, not me. It's something completely new, and obviously the dueling element adds so much that when you come off it, you are like, oh my god, that was amazing. But
There's
is it
some
because it's
quite.
new? I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Don't know, I did it 4 times, and I loved it most on the last ride, if I'm being honest.
Uh-huh.
But there's something strange and something thrilling at the same time. Of you look to your side and you almost make eye contact, or you make your faces or whatever gestures. Give them the finger. Do what you please. You'll see them as soon as you unload. Um, but there is just something out of your look, and it's not just like I don't know how to describe it. Like maybe on Velocicoaster, where you could look to the side and you just see a video of a raptor, or you see something static. The fact you look to your side and it's like that's another person riding this ride. I know it probably sounds strange and doesn't maybe make
Yeah,
a huge amount of sense, but somebody being on that ride,
I get it.
experienced, looking at each other, it's
My eyes would be closed anyway, so I won't be
well,
seeing
there you
anything. Yeah,
go. There
but
is that.
it's funny you mentioned that though. In a previous episode with Danielle and Kenny, Danielle said that she likes to make eye contact with the people in the train next to her on Stardust, and like she said that they put up a sign with this random guy, like he did it back as well. which is a crazy experience.
Yeah, it is strange. But it was so good. And I think rewinding 5 minutes, the point I was going to make um, was so I came into the load station at night, front row, and just at that point, it just felt like I was done. Like that trip and the park was like complete. Not, I'd already ridden all the rides by this point because I'd done Stardust earlier in the day, but it was just like every bit that I could have wanted to experience, other than doing things, more, I've now done, and it was like I'm now ready to almost leave and come home. But it wasn't because of like I'm fed up, I'm bored. It was just like I've
It was
peaked.
complete, yeah.
Yeah, it was like I'm happy now. Yeah, please.
You've got a new number one. The recency bias has struck again. Stardust Race is your new number one. You spoke about it last week, but yeah, Lost Coaster has been toppled off top spot.
It has, and I'm happy to adjust my list. I'm happy to come back, in a year's time or 3 months' time, whenever, and say, you know what, I was wrong. It is actually still the Lost Coaster, still whatever. But yeah, at the minute,
Don't you be
and
tinkering now.
I know. Go back to you. Didn't we say like half an hour ago we were going to move on to islands and studios?
I
And
tried.
we tried, and we came
I
back.
tried.
And I'm
But you were
trying to
like,
move on, and now you
Stardust.
say you're keeping me on Stardust.
I know.
Um, yeah. So is new number one. I did have, don't know how many rides on Velocicoaster, maybe 5, 6 rides this trip. I did have a couple of rough experiences, which I think is generally quite unheard of when it comes to Velocicoaster. But I just think that train, like the wheels, mustn't have been.
I was quite rough on it, I'll be honest.
There you go. Those wheels and you are the only things that have ever been rough on that road. Um, but yes, like even the day after, which was the day I travelled home, I did my final ride on Velocicoaster. Obviously, I loved it. Was my number one favorite ride, and I loved it. But I just thought I just missed that Julian element. Like Velocicoaster has got some unbelievable moments. I think like that top hat will never be topped. Like I absolutely love that bit, especially if you're near the front, where it feels like you're at the top for such a long period of time, whilst the rest of the ride vehicle like catches up.
Yeah.
Versus like if you're in the back rows, you get whipped over, so you don't really get that moment. But when you're at the front, it does seem to last forever. And obviously, the Jurassic World theme in the queue, the animatronics.
That's what I thought would make it better because it's got a proper theme. Does that make sense? Whereas
Yeah,
Stardust is a bit kind of obviously it's Celestial Park themed and it's got the flux capacitor on the back, but there's not really a theme. I don't think.
yeah. I mean, they make up a bit of a crap story to pretend, but yeah, it's just a coaster, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think if we broke it down, like if it was like, yeah, 1 point for the queue, 1 point for this, 1 point for that, Velocicoaster would probably win. But just as a enjoyable, thrilling ride, Stardust.
I just want to say, I wonder how many rides Courtney and Tia will get on Stardust races back to back.
I think
Going their extreme ways.
I'm not sure I could do Velocicoaster 4 times in quite a short space of time without feeling it a little bit, but Stardust I had no problem, so I'm sure they could definitely go for it if crowds allow.
Obviously, the main reason though, Sam, you squeezed this trip in, hugely assisted by your better half Victoria, was to go to the epic previews, but you still had plenty of time to do the OG backs too. Did you have much of a plan go around there? Not
No
that you
real
need a
plan, to
plan,
be
really,
honest.
do you? You don't need a plan to go around.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Universal, isn't it? You just kind of go with the flow. But yeah, I was really surprised with how low the crowds were, and I don't think this was anything specific to because another part was in previews down the road. I think it was just a great time of year to be there, where for the most part you could literally just walk onto things, especially single rider. I'd say single rider, if you are willing to go on your own, is just as good, if not better, than express generally.
It's one of the greatest inventions in life.
Those are done. Yeah. So when you think about it, the Mummy managed to get done a couple of times, just walking straight on. Men in Black, I don't know what the total tally was, but it was over 10 again, walking straight
37.
on. But yeah, good. Like the parks were, it was a strange feeling going back into these parks, having just come from Epic
Did
Universe.
it feel like a warm hug?
It felt nice, but it also felt, I don't know.
Oh no,
I'm
what are you
not
going to
sure.
say? What are you going to say here?
What
Don't
do you
you
think?
dare. Don't you dare say anything bad about the OGs.
I'm gonna say I just didn't know if it felt like I would rather be down the road exploring more of Epic.
Mm.
And that isn't because they're my favorite, as we talked about before. If I was to rank the Universal
You
parks,
said
Epic
three,
would
yeah.
be number
Yeah.
three. Studios two, Islands number one for me. That has remained unchanged, and I think will remain unchanged for a good amount of time going forward. I
Unchained or
think
untrained? Unchanged.
unchanged. It can be whatever.
Unchained?
We'll go untrained for
The
the dog.
untrainable unchained.
Yes, monsters, Mario Kart. Yeah, I think just because we were there obviously so much in August, it still felt quite fresh and familiar versus Epic, which was new and exciting. Obviously, I had very mixed days and experiences with Epic, but there was just that little bit, especially on the third day where it was like I rode Fast and Furious.
I was going to say, that was my next question. Why did you ride Fast and Furious by choice?
Just to remember, well, just to see, is it as bad as what I
We all
remember?
do this though. We all do it every year. We all come off and go, "What? I didn't need." It's still exactly the same.
Yeah, you need to every couple of years, I think, just refresh yourself. But I would argue, the worst seat. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's not a good seat. You're right, Jay, there isn't. But
Even
the
the
worst seat,
seats are hard.
it's not a relaxing ride, is it?
It's really
Um,
not.
but I would say the front row on the far left is the worst seat. I've had it
That's
before
another podcast episode. Which seat on Fast and Furious is the worst seat?
because not only are you at the front, so you can't see anything really, which I know you could argue
There's
is a good
nothing
thing.
to see anyway.
I know, but like you're next to the speaker, and that
Oh,
ride is just like,
that turned down for what? I cannot stand that song.
can we have it as an outro to this podcast?
No, it's because I got stuck on there, as you know, and that music was just banging into my brain for 30 minutes before we got evac'd off. But anyway, enough of the PTSD.
There we go. But yeah, that was probably the thing that made me think I'm going to go back to Epic. That terrible park that I've had only bad experiences at so far for a third day, and had a
I'm
really good
surprised that you
experience.
didn't put Epic 2 over Studios, though. I'm a little bit
All right.
surprised.
Studios is the park at the minute we spend the most amount of time in. I mentioned this on the vlog. It's like Islands is my favorite, but the last couple of trips we've probably spent like 70% of the time in Studios, 30% in Islands. So it's the OG. Still got a big place in my heart. I think it just depends what mood you're in. You know, what you feel like doing. I think they're very different parks in terms of what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us, early park admission now being in Islands just means you naturally head that way a little bit more, at the start of the day. But then I think because it's like, well, we do the big hitters, and it's like, well, now let's go to Studios. Then we spend the rest of the day there. And I don't know if you know about this, Jay, or not. I didn't know about it until
Oh, we've
last
got an
year.
exclusive. This is exciting.
Not really. They do a certain parade at Universal Studios,
Oh,
which
do they?
someone might absolutely love.
I think Joey
So
might like that one.
yeah, might just let him see it this time. So I watched that obviously a few times this trip. So that was as good as ever. There's some new bits to it as well, which I hadn't seen last year.
Oh,
So
nice.
so that was nice. So I don't feel like we're given these two parks the justice they deserve, but they were
No,
really good. They look good. Operations for the most part were on point. Loved them as much as always. Cannot wait to go back.
so you split your stay up into between Stella Nova and Cabana Bay. Cabana Bay, one of your trusty go-to favourites. How was that?
Yeah, it was good. It was strange because it was like a comfort blanket of I'm back home. I've stayed there. We've been fortunate to be there quite a few times, especially over the recent years. So it was nice. It's familiar. You know where you stand. You know where everything is. You know you're gonna get some absolutely banging food. Not sure about the tenders, but you can let me know.
Was it a bit sad being there without the rest of your gang?
It was obviously whilst I think a lot of couples do go and love it. Not sure how many people in their 30s go on their own and enjoy it. Anyway,
Me?
the theming is old. It's kind of that
Like
60s
the
type.
50s, 60s, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's it. But the room felt old in itself. Having just come from Stella Nova, where obviously it's literally 3 months old, it was brand new. So not only is it like over the top in terms of modern and spacey and futuristic,
Mm-hmm.
but like obviously just everything was brand spanking new.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it did kind of feel a little bit, oh, this is different. But for me, like that resort is being, like I say, back at home. It feels comfortable. It's always clean. The facilities are on point. It's got 2 pools. I was hoping to do the movie at the pool, but unfortunately it stormed that night, so it ended up getting shut. But what that did allow me to do was go to Bayliner Diner and have 2 meals. I was to and fro. My 2 favorite meals there.
You got the steak slices. They look very nice.
The Brazilian steak is on point.
Look
Really,
good.
really good. Pickle Vic's recommended that one to me a couple
Shout
of
out
years
Pickle
ago.
Vicks.
Yeah, she's not listening, but firm
She might
favourite
be.
that one. Well, yeah, she may well be. I'm just meaning we've got 4 listeners. I don't know if she falls into the 4.
So you ordered
So
2 meals.
2 meals. So one of them was Pickle Vic's recommendation. The other one is cheese pizza. Now, if you said to me, "I'm gonna get you a margarita," I'd say, "I'm not sure it's my favourite." The only thing a margarita is better than is a veg pizza. For me, I'm very much the more meat on a pizza, the better. However, at Cabana Bay, the best pizza by far is the cheese pizza, as they brand it. For whatever reason, I don't know. Like that, and their pizza tastes different. They've run site hotels as well, so it's not. That's the weird thing. Going off on a bit of a tangent. You would think if you were getting, I'll bring it onto your level, Jay. If you were getting tenders at Surfside, you would expect that to be the same tenders you're going to get at Dockside, the same tenders you're going to get at
Not
Cabana
always the
Bay.
case, though, is it? Yeah, it's not always the
It's
case.
not.
They're
I
all
don't get
different.
like
They're all
white.
different, but I don't know why.
Yeah,
You'd
strange.
think all the tenders, they all look so different. That means I need to try them all out.
That's a
A tender
thrilling
scavenger
podcast
hunt.
episode.
I'll be on my own for that one. Ranking all the tenders at Universal Orlando Resort. Yes,
Well, I
I've
forget to
got a
download that
list.
one. But yes, it's like even the cheese pizza I've had at other resorts, and it tastes completely different. But for some reason, Cabana Bay on point. So yes, I was thinking, well, if I get a pizza, I'm gonna need some chips anyway. So I thought, well, why not get a pizza? I'll get a kids meal on the side. Get it with chips.
Why not?
I'll just
Fries,
get fries. Yeah, we don't know
crisps.
last week's again, do we? And yeah, get a bit of steak on the side, but on point, Cabana Bay, really good hotel. I'm sure we will stay there again at some point. I say whether you're a couple, whether you're a family, whether you're a 32-year-old man going on his own and abandoning his family.
Each to their own.
Boxes.
Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do, it's got something for it. It's got a great walk as well.
How long is the walk to the parks? 10 minutes?
14 minutes it took me from the lobby. But what's quite good, as you probably all know, is you come out next to Margaritaville. So you kind of got the security where there's no line, and you're literally out and over to the bridge.
That is good.
In Ireland, so it's decent. Yeah, like don't worry, like transport and convenience is a big thing for me in terms of where we stay. Obviously, the facilities of on site are great, and the perks, like early park admission. But for me, just like location and convenience is probably the number one reason why we like to stay on site. But I do love the option of a walk. Like even if it doesn't necessarily save you any time compared to like the bus, the boat, just having that ability to set off when you want.
Yeah.
You're in control. You can normally see some rides. It kind of gets you ready. But I did pop over to Sapphire Falls as well, which is where we're staying in August, and that looked nice.
It smells very nice as well. It smells amazing.
Nice.
So just to conclude your trip report then, Sam. So obviously you had that very good epic third day. You were kind of
Well, that's what we were talking about, yeah.
You were just rounding it all up. You were happy.
Are we doing
by
a
the end
podcast, or are we just talking?
I don't know. Is it even recorded? You were happy by the end of it. You weren't. Yeah, because if you didn't have that third epic day, I sense your thoughts and feelings would have been, well, they would have been a lot different. Let's be honest.
Yeah, 100%. It's coming back from epic now until you made me relive some of those moments on last week's podcast, and I came.
Well, they've heard it. They've heard it. All right.
Oh, they heard it. Yeah. Started off so well that episode as well, so positive.
It went really downhill fast.
Yeah.
Like Stardust.
Not fast enough. I think we still probably had an hour of talking absolute rubbish before.
I think at one point you were speaking for about 20 minutes about all the negatives.
What was I talking about? The tenders.
Yeah, no, the bad things at Epic Universe. The bad days.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for that podcast, and it wasn't for editing day one of the vlog, which will have probably already come out, it should have already come out by now. Actually, to drag this point out longer, if this comes out on a Thursday, it won't have come out by now. Who knows?
There you go.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We've got
Right.
all.
I'm rounding it off. We've gone on long enough.
I was running I
Oh,
was
Sam's still
running it
going.
to an end. I was running it to an end. It might not seem like it, but I was.
The end is in sight, guys. The
I
end is in
can't,
sight.
I can't remember what point I was to run it to an end. But yeah, like that day 3 was fantastic, and it left me with nothing but happy memories of Epic and the OGs. I cannot wait to get back to. Obviously, it's what we know and love as a family. I can't wait to experience them again. But the day so far that I'm most looking forward to that August trip is Epic. We've got a few days at the existing parks. We've got the Epic, we've got Disney, but Epic is the one that, even with all the issues, I'm most looking forward to. So on that note, I think the trip was a win. It had some ups and downs, but I think overall the positives well and truly outweigh the negatives. And yeah, so I'm thankful I got the opportunity to go and see Epic Universe before it opened.
It's almost like it was written in the celestial stars. Yeah, I'm hoping you froze.
I'm trying to make you think about Frozen. No,
I thought you had.
silence.
Anyway, that'll do it. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode, Sam.
I don't know if you mean that or not, but thank you.
No, I've enjoyed it. I'm sure people wanted it. People, I don't know if they got what they wanted, but they got something.
I don't think they got what they said yes to. That 1% woman,
No, they were right.
they were 100% spot on.
But yeah, that'll do it for this episode. We will see you all in the next one.